Hey everyone, it's the Libertarian Advisor, and today we are going to address the latest GDP release. Just working hard here over the weekend, so apologize if you can hear my daughter in the background. Also, want to give a quick shout out to Andrew Torba of Gab.ai. Gab is a new social media platform that will not censor you or manipulate its users by giving them fake trending news. We see a lot of things getting suppressed on the different social media platforms. It's happened to me personally. And we all know that anyone that does not support Hillary, basically is relegated to the back of the bus on these other platforms, whereas Gab AI will not do that. So, anyways, let's get back to the Bureau of Economic Analysis as I try to find the page over here. So I want to talk about this latest 2.9% GDP print, which coincidentally, coincides with right before the presidential election that we get the best print in 2 years. It also coincides with the consumer confidence report that is showing the lowest reading in 2 years. So funny how that works. Let me go over here. Wall Street Journal, U.S. consumer confidence slides in October. There we go. Lowest says September of 2014. So things have never been better in the last 2 years, but people have never felt worse off. Sort of reminiscent of the entire Obama administration. But I want to do a little bit deeper dive into the numbers. And just 1 second over here. So according to Zero Hedge, which are getting their information straight from the Bureau of Economic Analysis, they've got some really good insights as to why the GDP print was a great number. So apparently in South America, they had really bad growing conditions, which caused a monstrous surge in soybean exports. So you see, GDP, is going up over here. Over here, food and beverage, huge spike, huge spike, huge spike. And the reason for that huge spike is because of the soybeans accounting for 1/3 of that spike. And if anyone else wants to take guesses at other things that helped lead to that great GDP number, it was Obamacare. And again, that's not even including the 2017 rate hikes we're all expected to receive, especially those of us in Phoenix who are lucky enough to be getting a $600, sorry, not $600, in my case it would be $600, a over 100% increase in the cost of their health insurance, which that also is coincidentally enough the amount of money I'm putting into my daughter's 529 plan. So that means that, I now have to make a decision of, do I want health care, which, if something catastrophic happens to me, it could bankrupt me, or do I want to fund my daughter's education, or I'm just going to work hard so that way I can get the money to pay for everything. But being a new business owner who's bootstrapping myself, who's got a lot of different expenses, who's investing all the money back into the business, which I've been very successful, but it takes a lot of money to run things, and I'm investing money back into things so then that way I can help defeat the globalists, help get the information out there to the public. But it's just absolutely crazy. And what's going to be tough is for people who aren't on the government dole, starting a business is going to be next to impossible. I'm not out of the woods yet, but anyone else trying to follow my footsteps, it's going to be 10 times harder because I think I started and I was paying $70 a month on the private market for insurance, and now I'm paying $550. My coverage is worse. My deductible is 5 times higher, and now that's not even counting the 2017 rate hikes. But anyways, the other thing Zero Hedge points out is that there was a big inventory buildup, which helps contribute to this. And so whenever you have an inventory buildup, what you're doing is you're stealing productivity away from the future. So let's say you were a department store and you bought 25,000 shirts. Well, now you need to now you need to sell those shirts before you can buy any more. So if you're not able to get rid of those, then you're not going to be placing another order for 25,000. So what you're doing is you're stealing productivity away from the future. And if you were to back out those three miracles over there, then the GDP growth would have only been a lackluster 0.9%. But wait, there's more. When you calculate the GDP, you have to take into account the current dollar GDP increase of 4.4%, and then you subtract it from the GDP deflator, aka the inflation rate. So in this instance, the deflator was 1.4% for Q3. So with rounding, that gives you the 2.9% increase. So over here on the BEA website, 2.9% increase. Let's see, current dollar GDP increase of 4.4. You've got the deflator over here of 1.4, where it was 2 the previous quarter. So I don't know if there was some big decrease in expenditures from Q2 to Q3, but very convenient that that is the case, because if you were to, that's a 0.6% difference. So backing out the 0.6, your 0.9% increase would now only be 0.3, which that would that definitely changes things quite a bit. And if anyone wants to see how the inflation rate is rigged, I've got an entire article on my blog, called "How the Inflation Rate is Rigged." I will have a separate section up here that gets into basically how everything is rigged, whether it's the GDP, whether it's how money comes into the system, inflation rate, unemployment rate, the polls, you name it. But I've got a quick down and dirty article that breaks down exactly how this inflation rate is rigged. And why this deflator is so important is because depending on what the inflation rate is, it's going to affect what the real GDP is. And so my favorite website for this is called shadowstats.com. If we take a look at how they used to calculate inflation based on the own government methodologies, we would have a current inflation rate, if this was the 90s, of 5%. And if this was the 80s, it'd be a lot different story over at 9%. Which, in some of those instances might sound a little more believable than the 1.4% that we currently have. So without even taking into account the soybean miracle, the inventory build, Obamacare, using the 1990s methodology, the GDP would be negative 2.1. Using the 1980s methodology, it would be negative 6.1. Now again, if we backed out the three miracles that we previously just talked about, then the current GDP would be 0.9% with the current deflator. But if we use the 1990s deflator, you're looking at negative 4.1%. 1980s deflator looking at negative 8.1%. And there you have it. There is your alternate perspective on what the real GDP is. And so, hope you guys like this. Please subscribe to my channel. Once I hit 100 subscribers, I can get a custom URL. So please help me out with that. You can also find me on Gab, on Facebook /The Libertarian Advisor, and of course at thelibertarianadvisor.com. Thank you for watching.